What's going on YouTube? Uncle UU, aka UU007, back at it again with another video, and today we're going to be doing that Deadpool review that I was supposed to do a week ago. Okay, I had the flu, so full disclosure, I wasn't being lazy. Well, maybe a little bit, but I'm wearing the beater in honor of Logan, so had to get my full-on Logan aesthetic going before we get into this best part of the movie, for disclosure. So yeah, we're gonna be doing this review. We're gonna knock it out. We're gonna be doing two parts. So I'll try to keep a section in the beginning for non-spoilers for people that haven't seen it. I don't know who hasn't seen it yet, but I'll try not to spoil too much for at least like the first 2 minutes, and then once I get into the review, I'll go ahead and I'll spoil it. And I had a lot to say, so I have notes, because I'm a professional. God damn it. Did I save my notes? Okay, yes, I have my notes. Thank God. All right, so basically, to try to be non-spoilerish, I will say that all in all, it was a great movie. I think that this is probably the funniest Deadpool movie that we've had thus far. I probably should have went back and watched the first one and the second one before I went to go see this one. That's typically how I like to do things, but this time I just went in fresh and, contextually, the movie does really good at filling in the blanks, so to speak. So it's really not too much that you will miss out on if you didn't see the first and the second one initially. You can kind of go into this one fairly fresh and get the full shebang. If I had to rate it out of the Deadpools, I would say recency bias, this is probably my favorite one. I think that outside of that one, it would probably be this one. Deadpool and Wolverine, then Deadpool 2. I feel like the jokes was a little bit better in the first one as well, and I like that it was a little bit more grounded also. And I don't know, I'm a sucker for origin stories too, so that one kind of has a special place in my heart. Hugh Jackman killed it. I'll say that. This is probably the best depiction of Wolverine. Very comic book accurate, so if you are a comic nerd like how I am, you will not be disappointed. A lot of references, and all in all, like I was worried that them bringing back Hugh Jackman would be very gimmicky. Marvel kind of has a thing with doing that lately, but it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Very good. Alright, fucking spoilers time. And first things first, Hugh Jackman says fuck like 15,000 times in this movie. And I'm for it. You know what I'm saying? I'm for it. If anybody should be cussing throughout the whole movie, it should be Wolverine. And I at this point, I feel like I don't want to see any PG-13 version of Wolverine. This was it. Alright? See, and this is why I have my notes, because I get the rambling. So first thing, we're gonna start with the introduction. In my last video, I was basically saying that I believe that they would leave the legacy of Logan untouched. No, they don't. The movie starts off basically with them acknowledging that. I think they handled it well. Technically, the legacy of Logan still is intact, but yeah, Deadpool basically just murders a bunch of people with this man's corpse. So, if I guess that's one way to acknowledge the movie. I mean, it's very Deadpool-like. So, I will say that I would have liked for them not to have dealt with Logan at all, especially since we're getting a variant version. But after seeing the movie, it does seem like it's kind of hard to avoid acknowledging that they're bringing back Hugh Jackman and they're bringing back Wolverine, and we basically watched him die a few years ago. So and it's not like they were just, it wasn't a total violation and everything. Like it was funny. Okay, it was funny. So it was well done. It was funny. It doesn't ruin the movie for me, but part of me still wonders whether or not it was necessary. I guess time will tell. But depiction wise, for that storyline for Logan, that still stands alone. So I don't feel like there was too much harm. And like I said, it was in as good of a taste as you could have in a Deadpool movie. anybody that's a fan of the movies, anybody that's a fan of Deadpool, they could have really went there with it, but you know, it was well done. I will say that in the beginning of the movie, the opening sequence is fantastic. It's very funny. You know, everybody has probably seen the memes of Deadpool dancing and everything else like that. But I will say that the CGI was a little bit choppy in places. You could definitely tell that it was an MCU production. Anybody that knows about that knows that sometimes they can rush the VFX artists a little bit. So sometimes it can look a little bit choppy in some places. You know, Spider-Man No Way Home even had a scene where they had to kind of, you know, basically tweak the CG after the movie was out for a little bit, and then, you know, once you got to like your home release and everything else like that, the CG was fixed. Primarily when Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man jumps through the portal. There's a few scenes in the movie like that where you kind of get the Rubber Man aesthetic, where it looks like maybe they weren't 100% finished, and even some of the blood spatters can kind of look a little PlayStation-y. But all in all, nothing that would take you out of the movie. You know what I'm saying? It still was good. Let me see what's next. The TVA. So after you get your opening sequence, the opening sequence does deal heavily with the TVA. All the people that gets killed are TVA agents. It goes into basically the TVA serves as kind of like a bridge between the Fox universe and the MCU. Also, speaking of MCU, one of the earlier cameos is of Happy Hogan. He's in it, and he's basically like the Avengers liaison now, so he's kind of handling recruitment, and Deadpool wants to join the Avengers. Obviously, they kind of reject him, and you know, it's a little bit of a emotional moment for Wade. They play it up for jokes, but you know, a little bit emotional for him. He doesn't really take the rejection too well. Kind of puts him in a little bit of a depression, and he ends up becoming a car salesman, which, you know, then leads to the TVA kind of coming in and, you know, snatching him up and, you know, getting him the hell up out of here. So yeah, they serve as kind of the bridge between the Fox and the MCU universes, and they're one of the main antagonists. What was the name? What was his name? What the hell was his name? It starts with a P. It's slipping my mind right now. Paradox, I think his name is, which ironic. But basically when he comes in, he's basically saying like, yeah, you know, you could join the MCU and everything else like that, but we kind of got to murder your universe in order for you to do that. Obviously that doesn't really sit well with the Deadpool. I will say Fallout wise, they show, because this is post Loki, they kind of show how the TVA is functioning now that Renslayer isn't in charge and everything, and after the whole season 2 and how it ended, you can really see that they are basically handling it as departments and everything else like that. So Paradox has his own department, and I guess he oversees the Fox universe, and he's just gonna wipe it out as a mercy killing. And yeah, Wade's not really fucking with that. He also tells Wade that Logan was basically their anchor, the universal anchor. So that makes me wonder whether or not Tony Stark was actually the MCU anchor being. Most likely, I'd imagine it's basically all the main characters and everything else like that. That's kind of how they're probably going to do that. But yeah, the anchor beings. So I guess that's a really good way for them to honor the legacy of Logan as well. That like out of all the characters from the Fox universe, that Logan was the anchor being. So I guess that kind of answers the question of how well they handled Logan and everything else like that. So a lot more lore, which is cool, because that's kind of what Loki, the whole series was kind of giving you more lore and explanations as to how the multiverse works. So very nice that they had the TVA come in order to establish that. So yeah, like I said, Deadpool wasn't really fucking with the idea that like his universe is gonna die. So he finds out that Logan was the anchor being for that universe. Also, there's a really cool moment in that scene where basically, you know, Deadpool kind of has a nerd out moment over Captain America, which is cool because, you know, they have a little bit of a relationship and bond in the comic books as well. Like Steve is one of the Steve is one of the only people that actually kind of treats him like a soldier. Like he is crazy, and Steve knows that he's crazy, but he definitely still treats him with a little bit more respect than what other characters in the Marvel universe treats him. So let me see. So yeah, Deadpool decides to find a Wolverine to basically replace Logan as the anchor being, and it goes into probably the one of the best moments in the movie, which is the various Wolverine cameos. Starts off with the comic book accurate Wolverine, which is a hilarious joke, because that's one of the few critiques of Hugh Jackman's portrayal as Wolverine, is that he's too damn tall and Wolverine's like 5'2", and he should be short and stocky. So they kind of give you the image and visual of what that would actually look like, and the shit is hilarious. Also, we get the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, as well as one of the Wolverines from Uncanny. I don't know what issue it was, but it's from one of the Uncanny X-Men covers, I believe. Him basically, he's kind of like crucified on an X. Very dark, but we get that cameo. Let me see what else. We get the actual Old Man Logan cameo. So Logan, the movie, was kind of loosely based off of Old Man Logan. The whole dystopian future and, you know, Wolverine's aging and everything else like that. But we actually see that within the Marvel multiverse, there is a version, a cinematic version of Old Man Logan that exists. And one cool little detail is that all the cameos for Wolverine, he pops his claws and attacks Logan with his claws, except for the Old Man Logan one. He uses a shotgun, which anybody that read the comic knows that that's kind of like a key plot point, that after I don't want to spoil the comic, but after basically the tragedy happens, he decides to never pop his claws again for the time being. So I think that was a cool touch. So he shoots him with a shotgun. Then we get one of the classic suits for Logan, the brown and yellow one, which was one of the ones that he fought the Hulk. And by far the biggest tease in the movie was that they teased the Hulk versus Wolverine fight, and we don't get to see it. Oh, you want another $1 billion Marvel movie? Make that fight happen. Put the fight in the movie, please. I like, my girlfriend was laughing at me because like I damn near fell out of my seat. You know, also I kind of called it somewhat. Kind of called it, just to let you know. I'm be saying that a lot in this video. I kind of called it. What else? So we get that scene. By the way, that suit looked fantastic. Like, in some ways, that suit low-key looked a little bit better than the yellow and blue one that we got. I mean, minus, of course, the mask. But it kind of looked really good, and I wish I would have got to see more of it. But I digress. Let me see. We got that version, that one. Oh, Calverine. If there's anyone else that could play Logan, it would be Cavill. It would be Cavill, and we get him in the movie, and his Wolverine looks fantastic. He's big as hell, and he does the arm reload for Mission Impossible that he's like now famous for, except he was popping his claws. Oh man, I'm still holding out hope that maybe they'll actually go ahead and allow him to be the MCU Logan if Hugh Jackman finally, you know, decides to not play him anymore. But they kind of did something similar in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, like that fan casting that everybody wanted for Reed Richards. They basically put it in there just to like have it so that we could never see him again. So we'll probably not see Cavill as Wolverine again, but I would love to. I definitely would love to. Let me see what else. I think that was the last one. Yeah, because then we get actually our Logan. So our Logan in this movie is supposed to be the quote-unquote worst Wolverine. He has a really good introduction. It's kind of sad, you know, a little bit. You can tell that he's very depressed and that he's kind of going through a lot actually. You can tell that something very bad happened to this version of Logan. The whole world kind of hates him and he's by himself. But one key thing is that he's still kind of doing the Spider-Man thing where he's wearing his X-Men uniform underneath his suit. So you could tell that like he's still, whatever happened, he's still trying to hold on to some form of identity. He's not, completely checked out from being an X-Men like how Logan from the Logan movie was, where it's basically like that like it's over. You could tell that he's still kind of grieving. So really cool introduction. He tries to pop his claws, but he's so drunk that he can't even pop his claws, and then he drinks himself to the point where he passes out, which Logan has a healing factor, so he has to be drinking a lot of alcohol to basically pass the hell out. So yeah, this was a little bit of an alcoholic. He has some demons, So they bring him back to the TVA, and Deadpool's basically like, ta-da, Logan, now my universe doesn't have to die. But they're like, you brought us the worst one that you could have possibly brought us. Like, this one's a piece of shit. And yeah, Deadpool doesn't really take that news too well, and neither does Logan, and they basically both get pruned. So well, Deadpool gets pruned. I think maybe Logan gets basically just dropped, teleported to the void, something like that. I don't know. I don't recall, but they end up in the void, and we get the best fight. I mean, God, they get right into it. Logan is crawling on all fours, very animalistic. It's long, drawn out. The choreography is good. Not a ton of CG. Like, it really looked like they mined out the whole fight. Like, they planned it out so well. They show both characters' strengths and weaknesses. And Logan fights exactly how I'd imagine he would fight in the comic books. I mean, he's popping his claws and retracting them in order to get a punch in. I mean, he's going for kill shot. They're both going for the kill shot. Like, they can't die, but I mean, they're stabbing each other in the neck, and you know what I'm saying, going for the ribs. Deadpool shoots Logan in his sides, basically. It's crazy. I can't express it enough. If you guys are on the fence about this movie for whatever reason, go see it just to see that first fight. It's incredible. Then we get another section of cameos, and there's a pretty cool Captain America fake out. And it turns out that they actually got Chris Evans back to be in this movie, and they play it up as if it's Captain America, but it's not. It's Johnny Storm from the original Fantastic Four movies. And oh man, I mean, honestly, like, it's extremely good to see that version of the character. I mean, that's the character that those are the Marvel movies that I grew up on. I remember going to the movies with my dad. He took us to go see the original Fantastic Four movies when they first came out, and just the first one. I didn't go to the movies to see the second one, I don't think. But that first one, man, just this whole movie was a love letter to that era of Marvel. And of course, they don't do it in a way where it's just all sad and somber. There's extremely funny jokes within it and everything else like that. But man, it's just good to see those versions of the character for one more time. You know, they never got a proper send-off, and a lot of those movies, like the second Fantastic Four movie even, was supposed to have a sequel. Like, it was supposed to be a third one, and we never got a chance to see it. So it was extremely nice to see Chris Evans, Johnny Storm come back. Let me see. I think that I have it in my notes that it actually probably would have been cool if it was a version of Captain America, just because, like I said, my favorite Deadpool story is good, the bad, and the ugly. So you know, I would have loved to have seen Captain America, and I'm a Captain America fan anyway. So yeah, a lot of nostalgia, definitely a lot of nostalgia. To hear him say "Flame On" again and everything else like that, like, Oh man, I remember being at my grandma's watching FX, and they would play Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer over and over and over again. So it was just really good to see him. Another cameo that I was extremely happy to see, because once Johnny basically comes to warn them that they're coming, the Mad Max people are coming. The whole vibe is Mad Max, and the Raiders come, and the Raiders are just other people from the Fox universe. You have Toad, Pyro, let me see who else. Sabretooth, which brings me to my next point. They teased a fight, and I'd say that they teased the fight because it really wasn't much of a fight, which makes sense because honestly, I never really understood how comic book Wolverine would struggle so much with Victor Creed anyway. Well, not Victor Creed in the comics, but Sabretooth, because in the comics I don't think he's Victor Creed. Maybe he is, I don't know. Sabretooth, and how he would struggle with him in the comics. It's like, bro, you could just cut his head off. If he doesn't have adamantium, you should be able to just cut his head off, and that's exactly what he does in the movie. So I thought that was pretty cool. I would have liked to see a longer fight, but that one I'm okay with. Johnny tries to fight Pyro, and I guess that makes sense that since Pyro's an actual mutant and Johnny's not, that Johnny just couldn't really hang with him. He basically just flames him out, and he falls and he busts his ass, and it's pretty funny. Whole lot of laughs throughout this entire movie, and I will say that it doesn't get to the point where it's just like, oh, we're just laughing just to laugh. Like, no, it was very funny, and the jokes were consistent, but it wasn't like Thor: Love and Thunder where it's just like mindless jokes the entire time. They were really good jokes. The scenes were very funny. Let me see. I also have in my notes that I would have loved to see the rest of the Fantastic Four. Obviously, I would have loved to see the rest of the Fantastic Four. They all get captured, and Reed gets name dropped. That obviously he's one of the people that will kind of understand a little bit what's going on. So I would take it that the rest of the Fantastic Four are probably dead, unfortunately. So Reed, Sue, the Thing, Ben Grimm, they're probably dead. So let me see. Cassandra Nova. So talk about an introduction. Good God. She was very menacing off rip. Like, she has a presence. I don't know if it's because before you even see her powers, you could just tell that, like, this chick is going to be tearing shit up. And she was. And when she finally shows her powers, it's like, I don't know how they're going to beat her. She's a telepath, but she also, goes into Deadpool's mind and basically telepathically, she has telekinesis as well as telepathy. And her telekinesis is powerful, but her telepathy is even more, like, messed up because she has to physically touch you in order to basically, use her powers on you. And the way that she does it is very invasive. Like, she takes her hand and just goes into your brain, and it's nasty, it's gruesome, it's gross, and it's fantastic. So extremely overpowered, and it's a very good depiction of how powerful an Omega level mutant can be and how powerful they should be. Also, it looks like she has a healing factor too. Cassandra Nova, top tier. Also, rip Johnny. Deadpool gets Johnny murked. I mean, and the way that she does it is just, she snatches his skin clean off, one go, and he's trying. You hope that, like, he's going to get away, but also they immediately address why he gets killed off so fast, and it's because Chris Evans bringing him back was apparently, like, the budget. Like, he's ruining the budget. We gotta get him up out of here. And so Deadpool is basically trying to get him killed, and he does. He succeeds. So yay for the budget, I guess. But yeah, rip Johnny. It was good seeing you, bro. Probably never see him again, but yeah. Fight breaks out. Logan uses a Sentinel foot. I think it's a foot for the Sentinels, and he gets him and Wade up out of there, and basically they kind of start trying to figure out their way and trying to figure out how to find the rest of the resistance that Johnny was telling them about. And then we get introduced to Dogpool, and it's gross. It's gross. It's sweet dog, cute dog, not cute. That dog is hit, but it's probably a sweet dog in real life. But and Wade's just letting the dog lick him in the mouth and everything. And then they meet Nice Pool, who is just regular old Ryan Reynolds, So a funny thing about that version, though, it has a different outfit. The outfit actually is kind of cool. Kind of looks, I think, it reminds me a little bit of like the Ultimate Universe outfit for whatever reason. I could be wrong, but it looks a little bit like that version. And he has golden pistols, which will come back later on. So let me see here. He also gives them their car. It's a Honda or something like that, I believe. He gives Logan and Wade a car to use. So that's nice. He's a nice guy. He's a nice guy. And Logan and Deadpool proceed to bond in this hoopty by beating the shit out of each other after Logan basically reads Deadpool. I mean, he says some really hurtful shit. Talks about how you can't save the world. You couldn't even save your relationship with a hooker. And yeah, that sets Wade off. Which is funny because it's like he talks so much, but when he gets quiet, that's how you know he's serious. And yeah, he got quiet and it was bad. It was a nice callback to Logan where Wolverine gets punched in the face. He just punches him in the face. But Logan is like the audacity of this dude to hit me in my nose. And so they start going. And this fight was different in all the best ways. So I'm actually not entirely sure how they get there, but they end up at a safe house where the rest of the resistance is. So in this section, we get probably the biggest cameos in the entire thing. And it starts off with Elektra. Elektra from back in the day. So old school Fox Elektra, Daredevil Elektra, Stabbed by Bullseye Elektra. And she's aged pretty well. Granted, last time I've seen her in a Marvel movie was like 2005. So yeah, she still looks like Elektra from those movies. So that was cool. And next up, we get my man, my dude Blade. Man, when I tell you that those first Blade movies like put Marvel on the map, honestly, more so than, in a lot of different ways, more so than what Iron Man did. Those initial Blade movies showed that like comic book movies, especially like more mature takes on comic book movies, could be a thing, and the fact that it was a Marvel property just made it that much better, considering that the movie that he reappeared in is Deadpool. So I think that that's kind of cool that he really put R-rated Marvel movies on the map, and he reappears in that. And I mean, Wesley, he just has a presence. I mean, he comes in and he still has that style, the exaggerated swagger of a senior age black man. If you know, you know. He comes in and he just kind of takes everybody's breath away. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty cool. And then the next person is a complete and total surprise for me, and that was Gambit. And not the X-Men Origins Gambit, which once I saw the card kind of floated in, I'm like, oh, okay, they brought back X-Men Origins Gambit. That's cool. We haven't seen him in a while. No, it's Channing Tatum, who's been waiting to play Gambit for like 20 years. So he comes in and he has his comic book accurate outfit. His costume is, I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect. He got the hairstyle, all of it down pat. Like it's crazy because Gambit's outfit is one of the ones that's like a little bit more, you would expect it to be a little bit more difficult to pull off, especially like the headpiece and everything else like that. No, he kills it. Like it's Gambit. Like hands down, it's Gambit. He looks it, he sounds it, like you can smell it. He probably smelled like Gambit. Like the motherfucker was Gambit. So yeah, we get that. He comes in all smooth, and then the last person is X-23. So Laura from the Logan movie, and it was a treat to see her back as well. Obviously she's grown. I think the last time we all seen her, she was like literally a little kid. So she's grown now, and you know, she kind of has this thing where she looks at Wolverine, looks at Logan. It's kind of this unspoken sadness there with that, because obviously, you know, Wolverine is her dad, is her father figure, is her father, and you know, that was a very emotional movie. That was a very emotional journey for that character, for X-23 and for Logan. And like, she's basically looking at almost like a shell of a person that she once knew. It was a very good use of showing and not telling. Like, you could get a lot just based off of that small little section of them, like kind of like locking eyes, you know. So we're get a chance to hear the characters talk and speak. Wesley Snipes has probably the most hilarious line in the movie, and that's Deadpool. It's like, oh, you know, fancy seeing you here. I thought you were retired. And he says, Wesley Snipes is like, retarded. And it's just like, what the hell, man? Like, that's his first spoken line is retarded. Is hilarious. Obviously he didn't say that. He didn't call him retarded, but he thought that he said that, you know. So that was funny. And then he says, you know, I hate you. Wesley Snipes plays like, I hate you. And Ryan Reynolds is like, you know, always have, which is funny too, because there used to be this idea that they had this long-standing beef and feud, because Wesley Snipes during Blade Trinity was, I guess, really difficult in some ways to work with, and Ryan Reynolds did not help that. So apparently that wasn't true. That apparently they actually been cool the whole time, but that's just this running joke that they can't stand each other. So that was pretty funny. And then you know, we get to hear Gambit talk, and he's saying that he play cards and make them go boom. His accent is awesome. Like, it's great. Like, he does a really fantastic job. Channing Tatum was born to play Gambit, and it's crazy how, like, you could really tell that he fell in love with the character, and he really went and like studied not just the character but the more cultural aspects of what that character's background is, and what that would mean in real life. And so, like, I remember hearing about him having a dialect coach and everything else like that to really nail the accent and everything. It shows. It shows. Like, his delivery, like, it's awesome, and it was really fantastic to see. Gambit steals every scene that he's in, and he has some of the funniest lines in the movie too. You know, and yeah, there was also a funny line about Daredevil and the fact that Daredevil's dead, and you know, Jennifer Gardner Elektra is like, it's fine, and it's Ben Affleck's Daredevil that's dead. That's hilarious because they were actually married and now they're divorced. So it's basically like you told her, oh, your ex-husband died, and she's just like, eh. So I thought that was pretty funny as well. Suffice it to say, from there they kind of get into the plot again, like, you know, the cameos, and you know, we're happy to see everybody. So the plot kicks back in. They're trying to figure out what's the next move going to be, and so they're discussing whether or not Magneto's still around. He's not, unfortunately. So they were hoping that his helmet was still around, and that's not around anymore either. Apparently Cassandra got Magneto and his helmet, smoothed the hell out of here as fast as possible, and melted it down. And they were basically going to use that in order to lock her powers up and make sure that she can't, you know what I'm saying, use her telekinesis or telepathy anymore, which really would have been a good idea, honestly. So once they come to the conclusion that they can't use Magneto's helmet, they basically decide that they could use Juggernaut's, which, yeah, that's a good way to go. Now you thinking. Now you thinking. So basically, once they figure out that Juggernaut's helmet actually would allow them to block Cassandra's telepathy, um, they basically, make a plan to go ahead and do that. And like I was saying, the cool thing about that is that that's actually a little bit of an Easter egg. Is very comic book accurate. That since Juggernaut is Charles Xavier's half sibling, that's one of the ways that Xavier wasn't able to actually stop Juggernaut from being able to, well, Kane Marco, from being able to just run amok and everything else like that. It actually blocks telepathy. So that was a cool little Easter egg there, and also a cool way for them to implement Juggernaut's helmet in a different type of way. And once again, Gambit steals the scene with his line, basically that that dome got to come off with it. He nails the accent. Yeah, he nails the accent. So next thing, once you get there, there's a moment where it seems like Logan kind of was on the fence about helping out and everything else like that. He's still very much depressed and not feeling like he's worth anything. And X23 is the one who is able to kind of bring him out of that. So a really nice way to implement her back in and have her basically do for him what she did for Logan when she was younger, and basically give something for him to fight for. It seems like every iteration, every version of Wolverine, of Logan, needs something to fight for. So I think that that's a very beautiful and cathartic way for them to use that character and kind of have that come full circle, that even though that may not be the version of Wolverine that she is used to, that is still Wolverine, and he still is a good man, and he's still trying his best. And he also kind of gets a chance to go into what he did, what went wrong. He doesn't go so much into detail as it showing and being a full-on flashback. I don't recall whether or not that comes at this scene, or if that was basically when Cassandra goes in his head, basically. But he does talk and open up a little bit more, and he still feels like that it's not him, that he's not the one, that he can't save everybody, that he's not a hero, he's not the right man for the job. And X23 says, you're not, basically, or something along the lines of that. But yeah, after that, let's go, let's get it done type situation. They rally everybody up, and they basically pull up on Cassandra, and we get another amazing fight scene. And Logan actually comes. They were kind of faking us out a little bit. He was in the trunk, so they were kind of faking us out a little bit, and having us believe that basically he wasn't going to show up, but he did. He showed up, and he helped everybody out. He stood with everyone, and oh man, there was a funny moment with Blade and Deadpool, where Wesley Snipes is basically like, "I'm the only Blade, always will be," and Deadpool just looks at the camera because that's still kind of up in the air. I don't know if Blade is ever going to come out with Mahershala Ali. I don't know if it's ever going to come out. That movie has been in production hell forever, so I don't know if that movie's going to come out. If it comes out, I'll watch it. I'll do a review on it. But if not, there's only going to be one. There's only one Blade. So even though there's actually been quite a few Blades, I think Silk the Shocker, I think he was a Blade too. I think he was Blade for the Spike series. I'm dating myself. I'm showing my age. Most people probably don't even remember that show. Rightfully so, it was ass. But anyway, we're basically approaching the climax of the story, and everybody's doing their part. Deadpool is whooping ass. Wolverine is whooping ass. Gambit is, I can't say enough about Gambit. I want a Gambit movie. I really do. I want a Gambit movie. There's not enough for me to say about Gambit. I want a Gambit movie because the way that he fights, the way that his powers look on screen, stylistically, I mean, his staff, all of it. You know, he gets his line that is pretty famous now, very TikTok famous. The what did he say? Do you know how long I've been waiting for this? Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself here. I'm like, hey man, I feel it, cause he been waiting like what, 20 years to do this. I'm like, man, go ahead, Gambit. He was killing it. So yeah, they basically work together. Wesley Snipes it looks like he's still doing all of his own stunts and everything else like that. They just whooping ass. X-23 gets to take on Juggernaut, and while Logan and Deadpool basically run up on Cassandra. And what's cool about that is that they take out Juggernaut in probably the most practical way possible. And it's a way that I was always wondering why they just never went ahead and did that. They went for the legs. Like, just go for the legs. It makes so much sense. If he can't get no momentum, if he ain't got no legs, she goes for the legs. You know what I'm saying? Cuts him off at the ankles. And it worked out. Got him up out of there. And then, looks like she went ahead and got the helmet off of him and everything else like that. So at this point, we see Logan and Wade, encounter Cassandra. And this is where we really kind of get into Logan's grief, because she kind of just tossed Deadpool off to the side and everything else like that. But yeah, she really, like, she does the whole hand thingy and goes in his brain. She puts a finger on it, just kind of pushes it in there. It's really nasty. But we kind of get an actual flashback type dream sequence where we really get to see that, like, he puts the whole weight of what happened on the X-Men on him, because I guess he went off to go drink, if I'm recalling correctly, and they were asking him to stay, asked him to come back, that he basically, like, left him. And maybe it would, I would have to rewatch it. I don't know if it was one of those moments where it's like it's not supposed to be that big of a deal, but the consequences was huge, that like he was just going to get a drink, or maybe it was a circumstance where he stormed off, thought that, for whatever reason, Wolverine does that from time to time. But this time, when he comes back, I guess humans had killed the X-Men. So I don't know if it was a Days of Future Past event type situation, or if it was a circumstance where, some humans just came in and they, you feel what I'm saying, did that. Or if it was literally just a circumstance where, maybe it was an old man Logan type situation where, I don't know, maybe the humans were mind controlled, or I don't know. It's a little bit murky. I only seen the movie once, so I might not be remembering all that entirely correct. But from my recollection, it seemed like he was just going to get drunk or something like that. He left, and then when he came back, the X-Men were dead, and so he went on a human killing spree, which, he got the people that did it, but he also took it just too far, and he was just kind of killing people indiscriminately. So it seems like that kind of turned whatever sympathy the X-Men would have gotten, that kind of turned them against them even more. That, like, the X-Men got killed by humans, and that's bad enough, but then Wolverine basically just went on a human killing spree and just killed a bunch of people. And then, like, humans, like, what are they going to do? They're not going to be able to kill Wolverine. So maybe it was a circumstance where it was just regular old humans showed up and they basically, just killed everybody. But my thing is like, how did you allow, I don't know. Maybe it was they were like, hey, turn the other cheek. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to fight back type situation, and they got killed. So he was acting as if he felt guilty, or maybe him just kind of being able to really work through it in the moment allowed him to kind of flip the script on Cassandra, and basically he was like, gotcha, bitch. And he Wade put the helmet on her and everything else like that. Then Pyro comes out of nowhere and shoots her up. So at this point now, she's kind of dying, and she can't heal herself unless they take the helmet off of her. And also, she can't send them home unless they take the helmet off. So now it's a circumstance where, they got to decide on whether or not they're going to do that. And Logan is basically the one that makes the call, because he's like, I am an X-Men. I believed in Charles Xavier. But if you knew Charles Xavier, then he would have taken care of you. You he would have cared for you. He was a great man, and he cared about all mutants. And at that point, it's more so Logan just trying to like be the man that Charles would have wanted him to be, and you know, give mercy, I guess, give mercy, give grace. And she actually decides to keep her word and send them home. And at that point, she also at some point she questions Pyro, like, why did you try to kill me? Like, was it the TVA trying to kill me now? Like, we had a deal type situation. And yeah, she's not too happy about that. So Deadpool and Logan get back to the main Fox universe, and from there Cassandra follows behind them, and it's not looking too good, because now you have an Omega level mutant that's dead set on destroying all the universes one by one. So she's not too happy about that, and that's it's gonna be fairly hard to stop her. They don't have Juggernaut's helmet anymore or anything else like that, so it's just them. Also, she has an army of Deadpools working for her, the Deadpool Corps, which they mentioned earlier in the story. Nicepool, I believe, was the one who mentioned it. So they show up, and they're all cameos. They're all different versions of comic book versions of Deadpool. Lady Pool, Baby Pool, which I called. You got Zenpool, I saw, Headpool, a Japanese samurai version of Deadpool, which was pretty funny. A cowboy version of Deadpool. I mean, Kidpool. Like, there's, and Dogpool and Nicepool are also there with them as well, but they're part of the good guys. Not for too long though, because they open fire immediately, and Nicepool gets shot the hell up. So I'm pretty sure that Deadpool did it on purpose, and Logan thought that Deadpool did it on purpose too. He definitely did it on purpose. He held him up as a human shield and just ran with him while he just shot him. And Deadpool has a healing factor, so it's like come on now. Which one? Maybe that makes sense as to why he did it, but he might have did it on purpose. So there he's hiding in cover, and then Logan uses Dogpool to basically make sure that he don't get shot the hell up. And that's a pretty funny scene there. And from there, they walk out, and it's the scene from the trailer with them walking out, but that scene ends in the most iconic way possible, and that's that Logan has his mask, and he puts his mask on, and oh my god, like, my theater cheered. You know what I'm saying? It was cool, and everybody was trying to play it cool too. That's the thing about it. Everybody was trying to play it cool. No. There was no playing it cool. It was that cool. That was cool. And they get to work, and it is one of the best sequences. I mean, oh my god, it's brutal. It's long, just like one really long, drawn out shot of Logan just doing a bunch of comic book accurate Logan shit. I mean, he's agile, he's fast, he's brutal. He's just tearing through, and because they're immortal, they can be as brutal as possible. Like, there's arms and limbs flying, there's blood, there's all these other little gimmicks and everything, and Deadpool's getting to work too. But I mean, you don't see Logan doing all that, and I didn't take my eyes off of him. Like, I'm sorry, I wasn't really paying attention to Deadpool at that point. It was the Logan show from then on out. I mean, he was going crazy, and man, I loved every moment of it. But from there, once they are in a situation where, unfortunately, like I said, they're all immortal, so they all get back up. But Paul shows up, and apparently every Deadpool has a Paul, and so they're all like, yay, Paul's here. He's let's go. The samurai was basically like, Paul-san, hey! But they cut his arms off, so his arms was like this big, silly as hell, and they end up letting them go. And from there, we're getting into basically the ending to the movie. So they confront Paradox, and when they confront Paradox, he's basically like playing it off and everything else like that, and explaining to them that there's a way to stop the machine, because Cassandra finds the machine that the TVA uses to wipe out whole timelines, that Paradox is going to use on the Fox universe, but she's tapping into it to basically use it on all the universes, multiple universes, and they say that there is a way to stop it, but you won't survive. And so now it's a circumstance like, okay, well, who's going to do it? And they finally get down to the section that they have to basically create a link in order to stop the machine and everything else like that. And I expected it to be Logan, and Logan also was saying that, yeah, it should be me. I don't have nothing else. You have a family to fight for, and this, that, and the third. And the dialogue was actually really heartfelt. I mean, Deadpool tells him that I've been waiting for this team up for a long time, and for what it's worth, like you were the best Wolverine. And Deadpool is really jokey, but you could tell that it was a very serious and kind of somber, sad moment, because he's like, I'm about to sacrifice myself and everything else like that. Just him being a hero, and he is a hero. And it just, the whole scene kind of feels that much better with the suit and everything else like that. Like, as far as the optics of it, it just all looked like a scene from a comic, like a scene from a comic. So then there's a bait and switch where Deadpool actually is the one that runs in there, and he's, of course, he like plays it up for jokes and everything, and Logan is trying to get in, but Deadpool starts the process, and Logan does eventually make it in. And so what would have killed Deadpool alone, with Logan by his side, with them holding each other's hands, and working together, and what they're able to do is not only stop Cassandra, they basically blow her the hell up, but they also re-anchor the Fox universe. So they saved an entire universe just based off of what it was that they were able to do there, which the TVA isn't even sure how that happened, what happened. We get to see a cameo from the one black lady. I forget what her name was. But she's dope. She's dope. And she likes Paul, which is weird. Maybe it's the mustache. I don't know, but Paul's there, and there's like a weird thing going on there with that. But they're able to save each other. Wolverine made me feel insecure about my body, and I'm in fairly decent shape, but like I need to go back to the gym, because if he looks like that at 50, I'm screwing up. I'm 24. I should look half that good. So I need to figure that out. I need to do some crunches. But yeah, the story kind of wraps up at that point. You get your resolution and everything else like that. Deadpool asked if some of the people from the Fox universe that helped could be saved, and we see that in the end. Once Deadpool invites Logan to stay with him and stay with his family and meet everybody and everything else like that, and it seems like he's going to be sticking around for a little bit, which Deadpool makes quite a few jokes about, saying that, hey, you're going to be doing this until you're 90. So maybe Logan is going to be Hugh Jackman going forward, but we also get to see that X-23 is with them as well. So maybe X-23, when they decide to do X-Men, an X-Men standalone movie, maybe the Wolverine that is in it may not be Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Maybe he'll make a cameo, but maybe it'll actually be Laura, X-23, which I would personally enjoy that. So yeah, final thoughts. All in all, I think that it is a fantastic movie. I think they did an excellent job, and I'm very interested in seeing what exactly they're going to be doing next within the Mutant Saga. I know that this is basically the kickoff point for the Mutant Saga, even though we're still technically in the Multiverse Saga. We've been getting little hints and pieces at mutants since like Miss Marvel using the first the first utterance of the word mutant was in the Miss Marvel series. So, you know, we've been kind of teetering on it, but we're full on mutant time. Like, this is it. So I'm interested to see how exactly we're going to be progressing forward with that storyline and how well they're going to be handling these beloved characters going forward. But for a first outing, I think they did it right. I think it's a good stepping off point. I think that it was a great idea to bring Hugh Jackman back in to basically facilitate that, the first time that we really get something that is X-Men centric, to honor the legacy of the Fox movies, that he was a part of it and that it was about Wolverine. I think that that was a great idea. I think they executed that well. You know, I mentioned the CGI and that in some points the CGI looks a little bit wonky. Even during the final scene where you see Deadpool and Logan really fighting the other Deadpools, there's a couple scenes where, you know, they turn rubber, especially when they're jumping through the window in the back of a bus. You can't miss it. If you've seen the movie, you can't miss it. Like, I think it just looked very, very Xbox 360 rubber person like. So that was a little so maybe they'll go ahead and tighten up the CG a little bit more and everything else like that once it actually gets released on Disney Plus, or, you know, just a home release. Maybe they'll go ahead and fix that. Also, I still would have liked to have seen a few other Fox characters. Like, I even if it was a circumstance where you're just going to kill them off, I would have liked to see some of the other X-Men cast, like Magneto, or, you know, Cyclops, or anybody, Storm. You know, they could have brought back Halle Berry for like 2 seconds or something like that. Like, it could have been fine. I would have liked to see that a little bit more. But all in all, it wasn't bad. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I went in as fresh as I possibly could. I didn't look up too many spoilers or too many plot synopses. I tried to stay away from trailers. So, you know, I wasn't spoiled. I did see the clip. Now that I'm doing the spoiler review, I did see a screenshot, like a clip was like 2 seconds, and I swiped off of it, of Wesley Snipes' Blade. That is the only one that I saw, though. Everything else was just the trailer, that first trailer and everything, where they kind of show Pyro and all that, and like Lady Deathstrike, and also, you know, and I think the chick that would like clap her hands together from X-Men 3, Arclight, I think her name was, Arclight, something like that, you know. Yeah, other than that, I didn't see anything, so, you know, I was able to come in with a fairly unbiased opinion about everything. And so going forward with Marvel movies and movies in general, but more so Marvel movies, I will continue to try to do that. I will say that they didn't touch on anything pertaining to Kang, which leads me to what my next video is going to be. I'm going to be doing a fairly long video about Kang and the whole Robert Downey Jr. being cast as Doom and everything else like that. It's probably not going to be out anytime soon. I kind of want to wait for the news to die down a little bit, because I feel like a lot of the conversation is like murky as hell for no reason, and I really want to approach it from a comic book fan standpoint and kind of take some of the more real world mess out of it and just talk about how I feel like it would work in terms of the MCU, and I have a lot to say about that. So they didn't really touch too much on that. We do get a after credit scene with Johnny Storm and Chris Evans. And you could tell that he loves playing Captain America, but he also likes playing other characters where he gets to not be, you feel what I'm saying, Steve Rogers-esque, if that makes sense. Because, man, I won't spoil the after credit scene. It does have Johnny Storm in it, but I will be quiet about that, and you guys can watch it and you know, just enjoy that for what it is. But yeah, all in all, I look forward to their next outing. Marvel, you did really good. I heard that the movie is like killing it right now in the box office. That's the highest grossing R-rated movie ever. So, you know, good job, good job, good job, good job. Just keep it going. Do more of this and less of what was going on throughout Phase 4. We should be able to experience these moments. We should be able to have these moments where we can go to the movies and just experience the storyline and have it just be a good movie. You know what I'm saying? It's not perfect, you know, but just a good movie, just something to enjoy. There's so much terrible shit happening in the world right now, and to be able to take a breath and to be able to just sit and laugh at some goofy shit with some people that's superheroes that got these fantastical powers, but also, you know, they got real world problems and you can kind of relate to them. That's what being a comic book fan and being a fan of Marvel and DC and all these other properties really is. You see yourself in these characters, you see the best of yourself, you see the worst of yourself, and you get to see these characters interact in stories in ways that you wouldn't be able to in real life. It's an experience, and I feel like the better the experience is, the more impactful, the more enjoyable. I think that's what it's all about. So good job, Marvel. Good job, Ryan Reynolds. You did your damn thing. Hugh Jackman, you did your damn thing. Channing Tatum, Wesley, you know what I'm saying? All y'all did fantastic. Y'all are great, and it was definitely nice to see them close out the tribute. I can't not talk about the tribute. The tribute to the Fox era basically is like the after credits scene, one of them. And oh man, it was so heartfelt. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I teared up a little bit because, like I said, those are the movies that I grew up with. And, you know, we all had our moment as comic book fans where we were kind of shitting on the Fox universe, and it was kind of like that unspoken thing. And like, oh yeah, we're happy that Marvel bought you out and everything else like that. Now the X-Men are home. But it's also like, these were real people that worked on these movies. These are real people that cared about these characters. These are real people that thought that they were doing their best. That's how they fed their families. They made lasting bonds, you know? So like, yeah, comic book fans, we can kind of be in a circumstance where we can't separate the people from the art in a certain type of way. And it's like, well, the art is bad, so the people must be bad. And it's like, no. So to see them laughing and the behind the scenes footage of these real people doing their best to bring these characters to life that we all love, it made me a little bit emotional because it was something I got to experience from the time of me being a little kid. And I wouldn't be as much of a Marvel fan if it wasn't for those older movies. As good or as bad as they was, even Daredevil, I mean, like, it all holds a place in my heart. So I think that was nice, and I appreciate Marvel Studios for doing that as well. It just definitely all felt like a love letter, and it felt like, for once, they made a movie for the fans. So, and I feel like they haven't done that for a long time, since probably Spider-Man No Way Home. Even though it is the gimmick of bringing back old actors and everything else like that, I understand that, but you know, I just had a lot more of an enjoyable experience because of it being that whole era of Fox, and just to see that tribute at the end. Like, even though the movie just wasn't completely about that, you definitely felt them trying to close it out in a meaningful way, because we may not ever see those characters again, some of them. This might be our last time seeing Wesley Snipes' Blade and all that. So, but I rambled on long enough. Maybe I'll, you know, talk about it again in a different way. Hopefully a shorter video. I had no idea this video was gonna be that long. But I digress. This has been Uncle UU, aka UU007, aka UU, back at it again. And you guys take care. And yeah, go see Deadpool. Go see Deadpool. It's a good movie. And peace.